Pittsburgh Steelers are already making changes to their cornerback room, and it may look like a very, very loaded group heading into minicamp. What's going on, everybody? I'm Noah Strackbein. Thank you for jumping on to Steelers to Go, your daily to-go cup of Pittsburgh Steelers news and analysis. Find us on youtube.com/all Steelers talkers. Subscribe anywhere you get your podcast. Today, we're talking about a Steelers cornerback group that appears to be just a little bit more loaded than we anticipated. Yesterday, during the final day of week 2 of OTAs, the Pittsburgh Steelers let a little bit of news out, and a big day from a rookie all hit the headlines. Let's start with the news. The news was Joey Porter Jr. and Patrick Peterson, well, they're making a little bit of a change. Joey Porter started working with the first team this week. Meanwhile, Patrick Peterson has spent some time bouncing inside, working as the slot. This changes a lot instantly, and it was all somewhat anticipated. We knew Patrick Peterson was going to work in the slot to some capacity. It has been just sung and sung and sung within Patrick Peterson and the Steelers organization that the veteran is going to bounce around the field and be utilized in a number of different ways for the Steelers secondary. He was not just going to be an outside cornerback in Pittsburgh. Meanwhile, Joey Porter Jr. gets first team reps on the outside, which shows you possibly what the Steelers cornerback rotation could look like in 2023. At first, it was this. Chandon Sullivan was playing the slot with Patrick Peterson and Levi Wallace on the outside. That was the first group to hit the field for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Patrick Peterson said that he was comfortable with it. Chandon Sullivan talked about how the team immediately gave him first team reps. It seemed that this was the first trial run the Steelers were going to send out there and see what happens. And you anticipated that that would last a while, at least into training camp. The Steelers weren't just going to put a bunch of different groups out there and say, let's do this one. It works a little bit better than that one this early in the offseason. There's still 90 guys on this roster. There are plenty to learn. And by that, I mean, half of this team doesn't even know the playbook. The other half of this team has been here for a year. And in the cornerback room specifically, it's Levi Wallace, James Pierre, who's fighting for a roster spot, and a bunch of guys who have never been here. I get that this is the NFL and you learn quickly, and especially in a name like Patrick Peterson, he probably knew most of this coming in. But that being said, this is the part of the offseason where you just simplify everything, begin to learn it all, and really, that's it. You're not doing anything crazy. You're not going 11 on 11 every single practice. You're not hitting people most of the time. This is a 75% practice almost at all times for every team in the league. And in recent years, it's been dumbed down even more to make everything easier and to prevent even more injuries. So when you say OTAs, the spark is not there. It is not a time of the year where you think, well, they're going to find the best team for them right now. What you think is they're just going to toss everybody out there, and really everybody's just going to slowly get comfortable with everybody else. And then once training camp comes, things start to heat up. The Steelers gave 1 week to their first group of cornerbacks, and maybe they'll go back to that at some point. But week 2, they said, let's try this one out, and let's see how this fits for size. Joey Porter and Levi Wallace on the outside and Patrick Peterson on the inside. And Patrick Peterson seems to like it. He believes that he's got the knowledge for it and that he can anticipate things so well at this point in his career, which he probably can, that it should come easy for him to stay in the middle, be that guy, be able to cover tight ends, smaller receivers, bigger receivers, and guys like Amari Cooper when you play the Cleveland Browns twice a season, Odell Beckham Jr. if he works in the slot for the Baltimore Ravens. You have to face very talented individuals, and Patrick Peterson has won against these individuals time and time again, and now feels that he's got all the help in the world on the inside, and he's capable of doing this. That's step one. That's an A+ for the Pittsburgh Steelers, something that you should feel very good about. Part 2 is that everybody's been impressed with Joey Porter Jr. Everybody has said how willing he is to learn. Mike Tomlin got on him the other day, and I asked Joey about it, and he laughed, and he said that, you're getting fired up. He's gone against Pat Freiermuth, and has said how that has motivated him because he doesn't want to lose that matchup, and then have Pat tell everybody at Penn State about how he's whooping Joey's butt at practice. He's got all these factors, all these things driving him to succeed. And so far, he's doing so. And I get it. It's shorts and t-shirts. It's not really a lot going on. But for a cornerback, you could see a lot of that athleticism, a lot of that skill, and a lot of that natural instinct that you want in a corner. And Joey Porter has already put that on the field. Then you have the other rookie, Trice Jr., 7th-round pick. People didn't know what was going to happen with him. Some said safety was the move. Some said nickelback was the move. Some said that he's going to compete with James Pierre and Chandon Sullivan and all these guys as the final cornerback spot, and he might not even make the team. But on the final day of OTAs in week 2, he balled out, and he had 2 interceptions, a couple of pass breakups, and he had the whole defense fired up, including the veterans. This is what Levi Wallace had to say about the rookie and his big day.
I want to talk about Corey. He had a big day, obviously, out there. I think two big plays in the last couple of plays in the practice. What have you seen from him? So I know it's a week, and I know it's only practice, but you kind of get a feel for it.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's coming along nicely. I think the rookies are, both of them. He made some good plays at the end of practice, and we were super excited and hyped for it. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, we're all on defense, so we hate when offense wins. And just for him to go back-to-back like that, they try him, and then he makes a good play. I don't know if it's a pass interference or not. I really wasn't looking. But then he comes back, gets an interception. That's what corner's being about, you know what I mean? Forgetting whatever happened. So I'm happy for him. He's asking the right questions. Really good player, super big. Him and Joey are freaking dang near the same size. So it's dope just having those corners that can come in and bring energy like that. You know what I mean? They're bought in, and they just really want to learn. They ask me the right questions, and some of the guys are like, "Man, I watched you when I was in college." So it's dope just meeting guys who just kind of look up to me.
This is where things get interesting. If the Steelers could somehow walk into the season, and again, I understand how early it is and how much football still has to be played before week 1 of the preseason, let alone week 1 of the regular season. I get how much we're going to talk about all of this, but this is a good sample size to work with. At this point, it's all we have football-wise, and if it's a glimpse into anything, well, that's a huge positive for the Pittsburgh Steelers. You look at this and go, if somehow the Steelers can start Joey Porter Jr. on the outside with Levi Wallace and have Patrick Peterson on the inside as the slot, with Chandon Sullivan being that other inside corner, working as maybe more of a blitzer, more of a run stuffer, that type of cornerback for the Steelers, which they love to have in the slot. That works out so well for that first unit. Then, if Trice Jr. is already impressing and continues to impress, and you're able to walk into the season with him as your primary backup on the outside, with Patrick Peterson, who will likely play the outside as well, that is even better. Because for one, you are giving a 7th-round rookie who's 6'3", 210, 220 pounds, whatever, a big dude who is impressing people already and has all the potential in the world. You looked at him even coming out of the NFL draft and said if it wasn't for injuries, chances are this guy's going much higher than he did. If he could hit that potential, especially in year 1, you're starting to develop somebody that you could see a bright future with. And you don't even have to worry about the end of the depth chart is rough. The end of the depth chart isn't going to get it done. Patrick Peterson's going to have to play a lot of reps on both the inside and the outside. Joey Porter Jr. is going to be taking on a huge workload as a rookie. Levi Wallace has to carry this team and really can never come off the field. You don't have to worry about any of that if Trice Jr. hits. If he's able to be on the field, if he's able to impress, the Steelers now have at least 3 outside corners and really 4 in Patrick Peterson, and then 2 slot-capable corners. And if James Pierre makes the roster, which I believe for right now he probably will, that is a very experienced and good gunner that you could utilize on special teams, who also has some starting experience, some of it good, some of it bad, for the Steelers. That's a guy that you want at the bottom of the depth chart. That's a guy that you could rely on late if need be, and worst case scenario, and that's not a bad place to be for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Really, this cornerback room has been impressive, but to hear that it's all coming to light this early and that the potential that we saw is somewhat materializing this early in the offseason, I mean, it's as good as it gets for a sign for the Pittsburgh Steelers.